Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Canada Hoops. It's your boy Matty. Thank you for your continued support. Please keep downloading and sharing us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Our wonderful guest today represents Toronto, Ontario. She is a former Eastern Commerce Saint, Blair Academy Buccaneer, Virginia Tech Hokie, and she has become a mainstay on the senior women's national team for Canada basketball. She is Sami Hill. Sami, thanks for joining us on Canada Hoops.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have players from the senior women's team join us. I've always enjoyed that and appreciated their support. How are things, Sammy? Let our listeners, your friends and fans, know how you're doing and just kind of where you're at right now.
Yeah, things are going really well. I'm starting my seventh, I think, professional season in Spain for my first year here in Vitoria playing for Araski. Got here about 3 weeks ago for preseason, and yeah, it's been amazing so far. Super excited for the season.
I'm just kind of curious with, another season ahead of you pro, like what's your sort of personal goal, if you will, this year for yourself? What are you just kind of looking to achieve?
Yeah, so the Spanish league's a really strong league, handful of WNBA players, a few EuroLeague teams, a bunch of Euro Cup teams. So it'll be a personal challenge for me to see how I can compete day in and day out with some of the best of the world, and I'm really excited for that. And to continue improving my skills as a point guard, and yeah, continue doing that so I can hope to continue my time with the national team.
I'm wondering, like, you talk about your skills. I thought you stood out at the America Cup, like you were impressive. I really liked kind of what you brought to the team. How much confidence in that tournament and just with the senior women's team as of late, if you include the World Cup last summer, does that just give you a lot of confidence moving forward in terms of your game?
Yeah, it definitely gives me a lot of confidence, and experience at the international level is not easy to come by. So any opportunity I get to play with the national team, play against the other national teams in the world, it's awesome. And the coaching staff and teammates are great. They give me a lot of confidence to do my job and continue working and growing. So it's just all around an awesome experience, and get a lot of confidence from my teammates and coaches from there as well.
Yeah, I love that, and I know you're going to have a great season in Spain this year, no question, and looking forward to seeing that and supporting you. I'm hoping we can go back a little bit, just take me back to a young Sammy running around Toronto, and just what that was like for you and the game, and how basketball came into your life.
Yeah, so I started probably when I was about 10 years old playing for North Toronto Huskies. I probably started playing basketball because both my older brothers played. My dad also played at the University of Toronto, so definitely a big basketball family. Um, Started watching all my brother's games, decided that's something I would want to do, and went to basketball camps, got on my first rep team, and took it from there. I played for North Toronto from I think about grade 4 until grade 12, and we ended up winning the dual championship my last year, which was pretty awesome.
Cool.
And then yeah, all same time I was at Eastern Commerce for high school. Went there, great basketball school. Unfortunately, doesn't exist anymore, but when it did, all the basketball players in the city were going there. Yeah.
What's Can you just touch on your dad? Because I know your dad was a hell of a player, and just kind of having that person that knew the game. There's been stories. I'm not from Toronto, but it's been well documented about how good your dad was. Is he a constant coach for you still at this point in your career? Has he sort of stepped away from that, or just what's that like for you and him?
Yeah, it's been amazing having my dad with the basketball knowledge that he does, and it's extremely helpful. He was never officially my coach. He coached my younger sister's team, and maybe I'm lucky. They used to butt heads a lot about about
Right.
everything on the court, but no, my dad's been amazing. He's rarely missed a game from grade 4 until now. He came down to Virginia Tech as often as he could, and he always comes overseas for at least a couple weeks to watch. Doesn't miss a game when it's live streamed, and his advice means so much to me. Before every game, there's a good luck text, and after every game, whether I had the best game ever or not such a great game, he's always there with encouraging words, and when I need it, which I often do, a tip or two to help me fix something or change little things for the next game to make sure I'm getting to where I want to go. And yeah, always there supporting, and it's great.
No, that's cool, and I mean, that's always been a common theme for players, right? Just having that support from family, especially parents, and if the parents have played. I'm wondering, like, was there other players you looked up to as you're starting to work on your game, and maybe players that you sort of modeled your game after? Anyone stand out for you?
Um, I definitely watched a lot of basketball when I was younger, whether it was NBA or NCAA on TV. I went to both of my older brothers played. I went to all of their games, and I went to a lot of University of Toronto games, both women's and men's, which was awesome. They usually had double headers Friday and Saturday. So
Right.
I wouldn't say there was one player I tried to model my game after. I just loved watching the game and knew it was somewhere I wanted to be, and took who I am and what I naturally had and just tried to work on everything else in order to get myself there.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I always kind of I like asking that question because there's usually an answer about people that are kind of right in front of the player in their community that they've enjoyed watching, and then obviously sometimes, yeah, well, guys in the NBA or women in the WNBA. But great answer, and I'm wondering, you touched on Eastern, which is a storied school, no question, and doesn't operate anymore. And I've had players join us on the men's side that played at Eastern and talked about the history. But I'm just curious for you, like what did that school mean to you with the basketball tradition there, and then just you are tied to that school, and um, you're part of that elite group that's come out of there. Just talk about your Eastern Commerce experience, Sammy.
Yeah, I absolutely loved Eastern and super proud graduate. And I know it's no longer operating, but the Eastern Pride still runs deep in Toronto. You run into a lot of people who played at Eastern if they were lucky enough to get there and play, or watch Eastern, and it's a pretty amazing community to still be a part of. But I loved Eastern. It was great for me basketball wise, academic wise, got me everything I needed to get to the next level. And yeah, I think it was really there's all the oh, OSBA, like the official prep schools now in
Right.
Ontario, at least. I'm not sure if it goes Canada wide, but I would say Eastern was probably an unofficial prep school at the time I was there. It was in Danforth and Donlan, so the heart of Greektown, and you had people coming from deep Scarborough, North York, way out in Etobicoke. People from all over the city commuted to get there and to play basketball, and not just the athletes and students, but the coaches as well. And so that's how you could tell how much being a part of the program meant to everybody there.
Yeah, that's great, and you did have some pretty good success there. I mean, you were quad A champs in 2008, and you were athlete of the year in '09 and 2010. Three-time MVP, a lot of success. I'm wondering. I know you went down to Blair. Just talk about that transition and why that came about, and maybe often that's a family decision at that age. Just talk about that move going to Blair.
Yeah, so I decided to do a fifth year because all through high school I did basketball and track and field both competitively. And I waffled back and forth a lot between which sport I wanted to do at the next level.
Okay.
And in grade 11, I decided that I wanted to do track. So I kind of stopped my basketball recruiting. Started grade 12, I realized basketball is a lot more fun than running around a track.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so had to kickstart my recruiting again, decided that doing a fifth year would be the best for that, and it would give me an extra year to actually focus on basketball rather than just doing basketball seasonally and then doing track the other half of the year. And we decided, me and my parents, I had a lot of help and guidance from my parents actually, that I had kind of run my course at Eastern. I had graduated, done everything I could with all the courses there, helped and been a part of a great basketball program. And we thought it was time to try something else for 1 year. And going to the States would definitely help with recruiting, especially since my goal was to go to a Division I school in the US. And yeah, we found, I shouldn't say we, my parents did a lot of research and found some of the really good basketball programs in the US, coupled with really great academic schools where I could take some courses to help get me some college credits already. And it led me to Blair, which was an amazing year. We won our state prep championship and our league championship, and I had amazing teammates. My starting lineup all went Division I. A couple players went to UConn, one went to Columbia, the other went to, I think, Fordham. So just surrounded by elite basketball players, and it was an awesome experience.
How much did that year really, if you compare it to your time at Eastern, elevate your recruiting profile and opportunities? Like, was it substantial? Just talk about that, and then just what schools you were considering, and then why you ultimately made the decision you did.
Yeah, it definitely helped with recruiting. And I mean, my coaches in Toronto were great. It was just a whole different network of coaches when you actually get down into the States. And coaches in Canada and recruiting in Canada is amazing now. And it definitely has grown a lot since I was in high school. But it was just a whole different network, a whole different few tournaments that I went to that I wouldn't have had access to if I'd stayed in Canada. And yeah, so that was a huge help. And my goal, I was split on my goals again. My first decision was basketball or track. My second decision was what type of school I wanted to go to. So I was torn between going to an elite academic school or a school that still had great academics but was more of an elite athletic or had more elite athletic programs. So
Right.
I committed to Yale actually to start. And then
So you're a scholar and a baller. That's what it is. You're very
I was.
smart.
Now I'm just a baller.
Okay. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So committed, just verbally committed, and then was still talking with my parents over the next few weeks. And we decided that if basketball was something I wanted to see how good I could get and how far I could take it, I definitely had to shoot my shot at going to a high major school, which ended up being Virginia Tech in the ACC. And absolutely loved that decision, had an amazing 4 years. But it was hard to turn down a school like Yale. And essentially, it was go and try to see if you can play at the highest level. And if you can't, then you can always go back to a great academic school where the basketball is still great, but it's just not the same demand, same level. So, such as an Ivy League school or going back to like University of Toronto, for instance. So, shot my shot at Virginia Tech, and here we are.
Yeah, and great 4 years as a Hokie. What memories stand out for you the most, perhaps both on and off the floor? I imagine the ACC is a tough conference. Just talk about your time there, and perhaps the memories that do stand out.
Yeah, definitely a tough conference once you get into ACC play at the end of December. You you're in it every Thursday and Sunday. You have
Right.
outstanding competition, and that part was amazing. Going head to head with some of the best players and teams in the country was great. My first few years, my team struggled a little bit, but still the competition was amazing. Personally, I would say I had your typical freshman year. Some games I would play 10 or 15 minutes. Other games I wouldn't see the floor, but you know, stayed 4 years. Every year I got a little more playing time, a little more playing time, and then my senior year I was a starter, probably played almost 40 minutes a game, so definitely worth sticking it out. And my senior year, it was we were really good. We just had a very short bench. So I think we were top 25 almost until February, maybe the end of January. And we had a couple injuries and we just couldn't sustain it through the rest of the season. So unfortunately, we only made it to the WNIT. But yeah, I've so many amazing memories both on and off the court. I had great teammates all 4 years. Every time a senior class left, It was like, how are we going to have the same team camaraderie as we did this past year? And then a freshman class would come in and just change the team dynamic, but always for the better. And I think that's one of the reasons why I loved all 4 years and stayed there, is because the teammates were really great, and just the school is awesome.
It sounds like, like players will be at a school and, minutes are hard to come by for the first year and you progress like you mentioned for yourself. Just talk about like putting that work in and committing and working through it. Because now like players, they have the option to jump ship real quick, go into the portal, and the NIL stuff comes into play. Just speak on the persistence and the hard work that it does take, because not everyone commits to do that, is willing to put the work in. And if there's a young player out here that listens to this and she's looking at your story and your success, like just you know, talk about what that was like to do that, to get the results that you did.
Yeah. So there are definitely good reasons for transferring. I'll never knock on people that do transfer to, maybe the school wasn't the right fit, you get a change of coach, the school academically isn't right. There are a lot of factors that go into transferring. But for me, if I left, it would be just because I didn't play, or just because I
Right,
wasn't the best player on the team. And I think as a freshman in the ACC, I was not ready to play 40 minutes a game and produce. And I think it was my first year only playing basketball, first year in college, as it is for every freshman. So there are a lot of different things going on. And I think I could see myself earning time, and I could see myself being a big part of the team down the road. And it does suck. Sitting on the bench is never fun, but there are 12 players on a basketball team. In college, there are 15, and only 5 people are on the court at any given moment. So everybody has a role. My first year, my role was a bench player. I would come in, give a few minutes, play hard defense, give the starters a rest, and then go sit back down. And you just have to, I just embraced that role for what it was. When I was in the games, gave all my energy to my teammates, and then in practice was always one of the hardest workers, was always in the gym shooting extra, because I knew that those were the things I needed to do if I wanted to be sixth, seventh player off, or first, second player off the bench, or if I wanted to be a starter. And yeah, I just love working hard, and I saw it as a challenge, and I wanted to be a player for Virginia Tech. So I worked as hard as I possibly could and did the things that turned me into one.
yeah, great insight. I mean, I just think, if you put the work in, a lot of times you get rewarded, and it's good to see that paid off for you. I'm wondering, you finish up as a Hokie and looking to turn pro. What leagues and opportunities were you exploring? Just talk about that transition now as you start to, play for a job essentially. Just talk about
Mhm.
that, Sam.
Yeah, so I really didn't plan on playing pro. I didn't plan on not playing pro, but I didn't know if I would have the opportunity, especially my first 3 years at school. Even when I did play 20 or 25 minutes a game, I wasn't a scorer, and teams don't use, you only get 2 non-European, so American or Canadian or Australian spots per team, and they usually don't use those on role players. And then my senior year, I turned into a bit more of a scorer, and I was still with the development national team, and I realized being on the national team was and is my goal, and playing professionally is something that I should and probably need to do in order to keep getting that invite to go back. So I decided at the end of my senior season that it was something I wanted to do. I wasn't done playing basketball, and I still wanted to follow my dream of playing on the senior national team. So I told my college coaches, they connected me with a few agents, and you go from there. And it's a tough process, and it's something, it can be very disheartening. You don't hear from teams, or they say the offer is coming down to you and another player, and it goes to another player. So my first year especially, I didn't really have a choice where I was going, and I signed at the in the middle of August to a team in Germany first league Germany, but I ended up staying there for 5 years. So it was a pretty great choice in the end, even though it wasn't really a choice. It was the offer I got and the offer I took.
You mentioned Germany, and I know a great time there, and you've played in France and now Spain. Have you perhaps got a favorite stop so far? Just you know, people go overseas and they get to experience all the different countries and cultures. Just talk about that side of it. Like, what have you enjoyed most about pro seasons in Europe, maybe lifestyle wise?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I was in France during 2020, 2021, so
Right,
the heart of COVID. So I really only saw my apartment and the gym. So the city was beautiful. I think I got about 2 weeks of normal life to
right,
go explore the city center, walk around. So can't give too much of an opinion about the French culture and lifestyle, but I did love Germany. I played in a small town, but we got to travel locally a lot. So I'd say I've seen a lot of Germany. And for me, again, I was just always lucky enough to have great teammates. So the 11 players that were on the team, we always enjoyed each other's company, always wanted to do everything together. And that led to always going to restaurants, always going to cafes, always doing everything out. And so you get to immerse yourself in the culture that way, try a lot of different food, see a lot of different things. And yeah, I just really love Germany. I was sad to leave, but I'm very excited to be in Spain. And so far, Spanish culture is great. The food is amazing. They eat dinner
right.
very late, but I'll get used to that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I was wondering just with the pro team, Sammy, like, um, what's it like when you come in there knowing that you're likely gonna leave at one point during the season to go play like qualifying tournaments with the national team? Like, what's that communication like? I don't know if I've ever asked any other player that, and so I just wonder how that works. Like, if they're gonna sign you, they're like, okay, well, we know Sammy's gonna need time in November or February or wherever to go play for Canada. Just talk about that dialogue and that relationship.
Yeah. So actually in most, if not all, at least first leagues in all the countries, their league takes a break in
Right.
November and in February so that their players can leave and go compete for their national teams. So it's very common, and I haven't come across a coach or teammate or anybody who wouldn't want me to leave. I think over here, all the players and coaches understand that playing at the national team is the highest level. So I would say my coaches and teammates are always very proud when I get the call to go play. And there was only one time, I think it was Olympic qualifiers in 2020. German league didn't take a break in February because they weren't
Okay.
in the tournament and they decided to play through. But my team moved one of our games so I could play in it, and then I ended up missing a game. But as I said, they were all extremely proud that I got the call to go to the Olympic qualifying tournament and watched me watch the games when they could. And I watched our game from afar, and they ended up winning. So it all worked out.
Yeah, and then I'm sure we can expect to see you do the same this winter. Once the tournaments get going here, and see the senior women's national team make the trip to Paris. That leads into our Canada basketball time, and obviously on Canada Hoop, we love to talk about the national team and the program, especially with guests who have played for it, which you have obviously done. Just as a whole, Sammy, like, what does that opportunity and chance to play in the red and white mean to you every time you get the call?
Yeah, it means everything, and it never gets old. The first game of every tournament or exhibition series, when we walk into the locker room and our Canada jerseys are hanging with our name above it on our locker, it's just I take a picture every time because you don't know when it will be the last, and I'm very honored and grateful every time I get it. And I'm sure you've heard many of our players say when you're wearing the jersey, standing across the free throw line, and the Canadian anthem plays, we're all singing as loud as we can. We get shivers every time, and it's a feeling like no other.
Yeah, I love that. I'm wondering, like, a discussion I've had with other players. Like obviously Canada's on the front, but your family's name is on the back too. And players will often say, "Well, you play for the name on the front," but there's a lot of pride with the family name too. What's that discussion for you and your family like? Just knowing like everyone's hard work and commitment and sacrifice to get you to this point has paid off. Just talk about maybe those conversations you have with your family when it comes to the Canada basketball.
Yeah, so my family's always extremely proud, and they do try to come to every tournament that they can if the timing and travel ends up working out. And I think they all know, or I hope they know, that I wouldn't be in the position that I am today without them. And yeah, to see Hill on the back of a Canadian jersey is just amazing. My mom's not a Hill. She kept her name as Prophet, but she knows everything she did. And my husband
Right.
as well. I didn't take his name, but he's there too. He's an incredible support system, and he also comes to every possible game that he can. And so although it says Hill on the back, there's Prophets, Reads, there's a lot that goes into it. So,
Shout out the whole squad, right?
oh yeah.
That's important. Yeah. I'm just curious about the time with the national team, like close relationships with a lot of players, obviously, and you've all gotten to know each other very well. Anybody stand out? That's you always really enjoy seeing when you get together. Who's become a close teammate of yours over the years?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate in the program that every team we put together is just a lot of fun. Everybody gets along so well, and I noticed this summer we had big age gaps. We had a couple 17-year-olds and then
Right.
a few players 30 or over. And the first couple days you're like, wow, we have high schoolers here. But then by the end of the tournament, you're all on the same team and you forget about it. And it's a really great environment to be a part of. So I would say every teammate I've played with is special and so much fun. But I'll give a shout out to Bridget Carlton. She was my maid of honor. So
Nice.
co-maid of honor, my sister. But yeah,
Yeah. Nice. BC is yeah, she's top notch for sure.
yeah,
Um,
she's a
y-
good one.
yeah. What like the AmeriCup team was really cool because it was like you said such a an age difference, and obviously the younger players are going to be an important part of the program for years to come. Just day to day, what was that like having them around? And I'm sure they're soaking up a lot of information from the vets. Just talk about perhaps what you think um, the program's going to be like down the road, and being in the hands of these young stars because they're very good already.
Yeah, they're extremely good already. The future is so bright, and I'm so excited to watch them grow and continue playing with them. And I will say, I love their confidence. They come in and work extremely hard, but you can tell, or maybe they are and they hide it well, but they do not play scared. And that is so impressive to me because I cannot imagine if the senior team had called me at 17. I
Right.
have no idea what I would be doing in the gym. So it's just extremely impressive. And their attitude and work ethic is great. And I mean, it already shows now with Sila and Cass getting big minutes in the AmeriCup tournament, and they're key parts of the team right now. And moving forward, I cannot wait to see how the young ones grow.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I thought they played so well and just elevated their game, and it's a good situation for them to be able to do that at a young age. I thought that was um, you know a smart move by the program and by Vic, and I know senior play, the veterans like yourself have talked about the importance of that and how they embrace maybe being like that anti to them and whatnot. So I really enjoyed watching that team. I thought that was a great time. I'm curious just about the discussion that the women have with the program. Like, is there never it never feels like there's a hesitation to commit or sacrifice to play for the national team. Where sometimes, for different reasons, the men's have opportunities missed and whatnot. Just what's that conversation like amongst you all as a group, Sammy? Just knowing that it really takes you as players to push the program further. Like, what do you guys saying to each other in terms of that commitment.
Yeah, I really think it's a lot of the things that aren't said and rather that are done. I know when my first year with the senior national team was 2017, so right after I finished college, just coming into the program and you see Kim, Mur, Nio, Nat, Naira, Kia, everybody who's been there, been at multiple Olympics, and they never hesitate when they get the call. They're in the same training camp that the 17-year-olds are in for the first time. They're in the same training camp that I was in getting my first call. And I think that shows the level of commitment and the pride and the effort that goes into playing for your country, to see them at every training camp and every game, whether it's a game we think or know will win by a lot. Our players always want to show up. And I think that was definitely something that got passed down to me. And I hope it's something that the younger players recognize in not only me, but the other players who sort of came in with me, like Shay. I'm drawing a blank now. The players who started around right after the 2016 Olympics. So we were sort of young generation now, and now we're turning into vets. And I really hope that we can be the same people for the younger generation that the Murs, Kims, Nats were and are for us.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's always been impressive, everyone's sacrifice and commitment, and I know the Canada basketball fans and community, and I've tried to express that. I think hopefully everyone feels that appreciation. I wanted to ask about Victor, just his impact as a head coach in a short time. Obviously, last summer at the World Cup was a great tournament, and now carrying forward into the summer at the America Cup. Just talk about his role as a head coach, and what he brings to the senior women's national team there, Sammy.
Yeah, I think he's been absolutely amazing. As you said, it's been a short time, but he's done so much with the program already. Winning our quarterfinal game last year at Worlds was something we hadn't done at a major championship in a long time. And I know we fell short of the podium, but quarterfinals was our first big goal. And I think it showed us that we can really do this. We always talk about medaling, but last summer it really felt like we can, and it showed us the path of how we can do it. And he's been great, from long distance having meetings with the team when we can't be together, to the energy and passion he brings day in and day out at training camps and tournaments. And he gives his players so much energy and so much confidence that you all just want to play for him. You want to run through a wall for him. And I think that shows up on the court, because you know that he wants to do the same thing for us. And it works really well. And I'm excited to keep working with him and keep seeing what we do as a team.
Yeah, he seems like a player's coach, and anyone that I've talked to, obviously very much so. And his energy is infectious. You can almost see it through the broadcast if you're
Yeah.
watching a game. Like it's awesome, and I think that was a good hire by the program, and clearly everyone's enjoyed that addition for Vic. Sammy, do you have a top five or favorite five of all time for Canada basketball?
Yes. And I'm going to go top 5 of players that I'm not currently playing with.
I love it. It's your five,
Yeah.
and you throw yourself in there, whatever you want to do. But yeah, let's hear it.
I'll come off as a sixth player. I'll
Perfect.
come off the
Perfect.
bench.
Perfect.
So at point guard, I'm going to go with Maya Marie. She was amazing when I played with her.
Nice.
And she's a little bit of a mentor now. She lives in Toronto, so I get to work out with her in the summer a few times. And her point guard brain is just, it's incredible. So I'll go with her as point
Nice.
guard. I'll go
Nice.
with Stacey Dales, Kim Gaucher, Mur, and Tammy Sutton Brown.
Those are great. Those are great fives. I love Stacey Dale. She kind of gets lost in the whole mix, and she was I mean, most people know, but man, she could really hoop back in the day.
Yeah.
So and was at the 2000 Olympics, and yeah, and Tammy was a trailblazer in a lot of ways. And I think for the women's side, Sammy, like Kim is pretty much in everyone's five. Like she's like I mean, she's done it all, right? She's
Yeah,
almost like women's goat, if you will. So great five. You know, appreciate that, and I always love asking that question, right? Because it's hard to nail it down sometimes. You're like, oh my goodness, like I
it
don't
is.
know.
And now we have too many good players. I'm like,
I
this is too
know,
hard.
like it's a it's a head scratcher. You almost need a full roster. Maybe I'll have to
Yeah.
change that question to a roster. But Sammy, anyone you'd like to see join us on Canada Hoops? And I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but you might have to help me connect with them too if you drop a name. But anyone you'd like to see join us and share their Canada basketball story?
Yeah. I mean, anybody from my team, I think they're all great players, great people, and love hearing their different perspectives. Yeah, I'm really not sure. Maybe somebody from the men's talk about their bronze, how they got
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I've
So
had a couple
that was
guys
amazing to
on the men's.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was. Were you able to catch a lot of it that tournament? How did like what was that?
I watched I got to watch Canada versus Spain in Spain with my Spanish teammates. So that was
Nice.
a lot of fun for me.
Yeah,
And I got to watch they were mostly during the time of our practices. And I thought about not checking social media and rewatching the game to see, but it was just everywhere. Anytime I opened my phone, Canada wins, Canada wins, Canada wins. So
right.
definitely watched some parts of some games, and I got to see the overtime of the bronze medal game. So saw the most important part.
Yeah, it was sort of an electric 2 weeks on the men's side, and I know everyone was locked in. I had to watch games at like 2 in the morning here in Calgary, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like you do what you got to do, right? So no, that's really cool, and I think um, it really felt like I was kind of putting it out there a little bit, like a total Canada basketball summer, whether it was the America, whether it was Global Jam, the Men's World Cup, just the excitement and the energy with the program. It just felt like a really special time, and I always like hearing everyone's enjoyment of that, right? Just whether it's you watching the
Mhm.
games in Spain or the tournament itself for you in the America Cup. It's been a special time for the program, and I always enjoy chatting with everyone about it. Sammy, we any shout outs or thank yous before we get you out of here? And again, we truly appreciate you joining us.
No, none for me.
Okay, so she keeps
Yeah.
it simple. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we're wishing you all the best in Spain, and can't wait to see you playing for Canada basketball again here in the near future, and wishing you all the best this year, Sammy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet. That's a wrap on another episode of Canada Hoops. I want to thank Sami Hill for pulling up. Thank you for listening. Remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Keep supporting Canada basketball and our Canadian Hoopers, and we will see you on the next episode.